happen in the privacy of my own home and my marriage behind closed doors. I don't presume.
Sure, I'm meriting this disdain and poison. How is it that they could make a judgment? How should they not reach that resolution? I don't fault them. I really comprehend it's been a year since Amber Heard lost the legitimate quarrel against Johnny Depp, and we're kicking the bucket to understand what she has been doing recently. As we as a whole recollect, the shameful preliminary was perhaps of the most discussed occasion in Hollywood, with the two famous people making stunning allegations against one another. Yet since the residue has settled, what's the tea has she continued on? Or is she actually feeling the consequence of the legal dispute? I couldn't care less about me, or what decisions you need to make about what occurred in the protection of my own home, in my marriage in secret, since losing the preliminary. Amber Heard has been driving a serene life away from the public eye. She chose to leave the U.S. and has been dwelling in Malaga, Spain, with her little girl, Little Anna. As per an insider who addressed Individuals magazine, Amber has been partaking in the protection that Spain offers. The preliminary negatively affected her, and she simply needed to begin new in another country. The source referenced that Amber is eager to return to work and recording again. While the preliminary was debilitating and designating for her, she is currently looking forward and putting everything behind her. The insider stated that Amber feels abused, yet has since recaptured her energy and is zeroing in on what she cherishes. Amber couldn't hold on to leave the U.S. with her little girl. She has been residing in Spain, where she gets more protection. The preliminary was past distressing for herself, and she simply needed to begin crisp out of the country. She is amped up for working and shooting again. She was depleted and frustrated about the preliminary. She believed she was abused. This is all behind her now. However, she has new energy and is centered around things that she cherishes, the source said. Then again, since winning the preliminary, it seems to be Johnny Depp is in the groove again with his vocation in affection life. Cool Simple, an insider near the entertainer, says that the 59-year-old has been centered around work and is prepared for his large rebound, besides the fact that he visited after the preliminary with his old buddy Jeff Beck, who tragically died in January at 78 years old. Yet he is likewise set to star in the impending French-language film Jean Dubarry, which will open the renowned disease celebration on May 16th. Regardless of the difficulties of recording, Deborah made energized and completely dedicated to his rebound. And he's a capable entertainer, as well as a multi-gifted artist, who has been visiting Europe this mid-year with his musical gang Hollywood Vampires, which incorporates the unbelievable Alice Cooper. And Joe Perry. Depp's adoration life has likewise been a subject of revenue since the preliminary, with Brewers circling about his dating life. As per the insider, he has been residing in Europe since the preliminary and has been nonchalantly dating, yet doesn't have a sweetheart right now. Music. It's great the way that Depp has had the option to continue on from all the show and spotlight on his work, and interests his devotion to his art. And his music is really praiseworthy, and we can hardly hold back to see what he is coming up for us later on. Fans have been overjoyed to observe Johnny Depp's momentous rebound. So great to see Johnny back on the big screen. One fan composed a subsequent fan added, glad to see Johnny get his life back and making every moment count and being liberated from his harmful liar of the ex and all her theatrics. While a third fan added, I'm happy Johnny is recuperating from the Amber Heard of Honeybee. I know it's hard and it requires a long investment. I'm glad that he has made another film that is being gotten well. His music is on target, and his craft has overwhelmed the world now. He needs to possess a puppy. Great for you, Johnny. I trust everything you could ever want materialized. Then again, virtual entertainment is abuzz with remarks from fans who are as yet not prepared to pardon her for her activities during the preliminary. Many are requiring her to be considered responsible for the harm she has to Depp's standing and profession, and some are in any event venturing to blacklist her future tasks. Does her new energy incorporate giving the Ella Kids Clinic the $3.5 million she guaranteed them a long time back, and never gave one individual remarked, "I'm glad for Johnny, however concerning her, she will continuously confront worldwide embarrassment. She's a neurotic liar," a subsequent individual added, and a third individual, basically composed, "can hardly hold on to blacklist Amber Heard freshest undertaking Hollywood, is no more odd to shocking relationships than Johnny Depp and Amber." Heard's relationship was no exemption. The two first crossed paths while shooting the Rum Journal in 2012, yet their underlying fascination was a rough one since they were both engaged with other individuals at that point anyway. Their on-screen science was obvious, and they before long turned out to be sincerely elaborate, following quite a while of highs and lows. The couple at last secured the bunch in 2015 in a secretive service held in Los Angeles. However, it wasn't all daylight and rainbows for the Hollywood power couple, as their relationship would before long become buried in embarrassment, with charges of DV unfaithfulness and, surprisingly, a pet pirating case that stood out as truly newsworthy all over the planet. The marriage started to show breaks in 2016. When Amber petitioned for legal separation, claiming DV, she likewise got a limiting request against Johnny, guaranteeing that he genuinely attacked her and tossed a cell at her face, leaving her with wounds and a wrecked nose. Johnny denied the claims and blamed Amber for creating the story to acquire advantage in the separation settlement. Their separation immediately transformed into a fight in court, with Johnny suing Amber for criticism over a Washington mailing station set in which she expounded on being an overcomer of homegrown maltreatment. Johnny's legitimate group asserted that the article suggested that he was a culprit of abusive behavior at home, which he energetically denied. Amber countersued for $100,000, blaming Johnny for disregarding the limiting request by sending her instant messages and of postponing the separation procedures. In 2018, new charges and spill tapes arose with Amber, guaranteeing that Johnny had been obnoxiously and truly oppressive all through their marriage. She likewise delivered sound accounts of Johnny purportedly owning up to hitting her and taking steps to kill her. Johnny's legal counselors asserted that the tapes were doctored and that Amber was the person who had been truly brutal towards Johnny. The preliminary at long last begun in WAC 2019. With both Johnny and Amber taking the testimony box, the procedures were brimming with stunning disclosures and allegations. Johnny asserted that Amber had been the assailant in their relationship, frequently hitting him and tossing objects at him. He likewise affirmed that she had gone behind his back with Elon Musk and James Franco. Amber denied the claims that blamed Johnny for being an envious, controlling, and harmful accomplice. The decision was at long last conveyed in November 2020, with Johnny losing the case against the Sun paper over a title that called him a WB. The appointed authority decided that the paper had given sufficient proof to help the case in view of Amber's declaration and the break tapes. Johnny reported that he had been approached to leave his job in the Fabulous Monsters establishment, while Amber kept on chipping away at her profession. In the year 2022, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard ended up entangled in one more fight in court over slander in Virginia. It was a warmed and profound preliminary, with the two players eagerly shielding their particular cases. The court was loaded up with strain as the appointed authority and jury listened eagerly to the declarations of witnesses, including loved ones of both hard of hearing and harmed. Depp's legitimate group contended that this made new harm his standing in vocation. Heard then again blamed Depp's previous legal counselor, Adam Waldman, for criticizing her in statements he made to the Everyday Mail in 2020. The preliminary was a fight to refute crowds' claims and exhibit that she had been the troublemaker of private accomplice brutality. Eventually, the jury reasoned that group statements about obligation committing actual attack and misuse were false and comprised slander. They granted Depp an outshining $10 million in compensatory harms and $5 million in reformatory harms from crowd. Anyway, the court diminished the corrective harms to $350,000. Because of Virginia state regulation impediments, the jury likewise decided that Waldman had criticized Group by erroneously charging that she and her companions messed up Depp's penthouse as a feature of a trap, and a trick subsequently heard was granted $2 million in compensatory harms and nothing in correctional harms from death. The jury didn't find Waldman's different claims of Group's misuse fabrication against obligation to be disparaging. After the preliminary court attempted to save the decision, yet was fruitless. The show didn't stop there. Both Depp and Hurt pursued their particular decisions. The strain between them arrived at its top until December 2022, when they at last arrived at a settlement and dropped their requests. Depp's attorneys uncovered that he would get a cool $1 million from Heard. The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard preliminary was a saga of outrageous charges in court show that dazzled the world's consideration. While the decision might have finished one section of their story, the aftermath from their fight in court is probably going to go on.